Well, what are the three things that sell a house? You're going to find out today on the Brian Hirsch Show. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time of the day it is. Uh, Wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast, we are so grateful and delighted that you have elected to join us and hope that today we can do something to add value to help you both in real estate and in life. It was July of 2011 when I came to work for Sheer Realty here in the high desert of Southern California. And I started out working with my mother, who had a very successful real estate career and was, a perennial top 10 agent here in our market for the longest time. And so I had the benefit of working alongside her as her assistant for the first few months until I got my license and then started selling real estate on my own. Hard to believe that was, over 12 years ago now. But she taught me so very much. And one of the things that in my, lessons and learning from her about selling homes and selling real estate, I'll never forget one of the very first lessons she taught me was, Brian, there are three things that sell a house. And so what I received from my mom, I'm going to pass on to you. And I'm going to give you a minute right now from wherever you are, and maybe just out loud, you tell me what you think the three things are that sell a house. What are they? Probably more oftentimes than not, people say, upgrades, or people say location, or people say, condition of the property, or, something like that. But get ready for it. Here are the three things that sell a house in this order. Are you ready? They are price, price, and price. So I can hear my mother now saying, Brian, there are three things that sell a house in this order: price, price, and price. And then the follow up to that is, there is no objection to a property that price will not overcome. So if it is priced correctly, no matter how bad the neighborhood is, no matter how bad the condition of the property is, no matter, what objections there may have, there's an odor in the house, or, there's bad neighbors, or it's not been updated, or it has hideous carpet, or the appliances need to be replaced, or it has a terrible view, or, I mean, you can just go on and on and on about the things that would create an objection on the part of the market for the house. None of those objections cannot be overcome with price. If you price a property correctly, somebody's going to buy it. And this is a conversation perhaps for another podcast, but what is a house worth is what somebody's willing to pay for it. And if you price a house correctly, there will be somebody in the market that will be willing to take on whatever the objections are to the property if it makes sense for them financially. So when somebody calls me and they're thinking about selling their house, the first step is to do a valuation on the property, to do what we call a comparative market analysis, also known as a CMA. And this would be another, podcast to talk about the three things that we're looking for, the three pieces of data that we're looking for. But when going under, um, contract and seeking to sell your house, when we perform the property valuation, we're looking for that place, that magic number. My mission personally for you when listing your house for sale is to achieve three objectives. Number one, to sell the house for the highest price possible. So that's price, price, and price. So we want the highest price possible. But secondly, we want to sell it in the shortest amount of time possible because perhaps the most valuable commodity in your life is not money, but time. So we want to sell it for the highest price possible. Secondly, in the shortest amount of time possible. And third, with the least number of problems possible. I learned those three things from a veteran in our office. His name's Craig Cooterly. And so we want to sell the house for the highest price possible in the shortest amount of time possible with the least number of problems possible. That's always my objective. If it's up to me, we'd sell your house for $1 million. So the market ultimately is what's going to dictate what we sell your house for. So the question is, how do we achieve those three objectives? To sell the house for the highest price possible, shortest amount of time possible, with the least number of problems possible. Well, I'm going to give you three things. And if you're watching or listening, maybe you can take some notes on this and hopefully this will help you when it comes time to sell your house. So the first thing to achieve the highest possible price, shortest amount of time, least number of problems is that we need to market the home well. When I first came into the business, there was a lot fewer agents and brokerages doing high level work when it came to marketing the home. I mean, it wasn't all that uncommon for an agent to kind of just show up and snap some pictures with an iPhone and slap it on the MLS. High quality photography became more of a trend, I would say, over the last 7 or 8 years. And I actually had the benefit. My daughter-in-law is a photographer. She actually got a certification from our local community college here in photography. And she kind of taught me, like, these are the things, like, this is the kind of camera you need. This is the kind of lens you need. This is the kind of lighting that you need to, create the most attractive looking images. And then with the filters that software provides to really make the pictures pop in what's known as HDR, right? So HDR photography, really making the pictures come out, really making them vibrant and pretty looking so that they create clickbait. That is, a huge step forward. There are a lot more agents today than there were 7 or 8 years ago that are availing themselves. For one, one of my podcast guests back, gosh, it was a few months ago, Christian Arias. She's a photographer in the area. She does a lot of work for a lot of agents up here, and she knows how to do it, man. She's got the right equipment, the right lighting, and for a fee, she'll go out and take those pictures to create, again, the clickbait. We all do it. We're in the line at the grocery store. We pull up Zillow. We see the houses listed for sale. Even agents, people that are professional, we're drawn toward, more attractive looking listings. The pictures probably are the most important thing. I consider it a compliment when somebody says, wow, the house looks so much better in the pictures than it did when we got there. I'm like, great, I did my job. I did my job. My job is to make those pictures in the house, put it in the best possible light, the best possible angles to get the buyers to come look at the house. There's more to it than just pictures. That's probably the most important thing. The marketing remarks are important. How the remarks are worded and how it reads to the consumer. I can always tell if I'm dealing with a pro or an amateur based on how they wrote their marketing remarks. A few months ago, a friend of mine on the golf course says, man, Brian, you can just use Chat GPT, artificial intelligence to write your marketing remarks. So just kind of out of curiosity, I typed in marketing remarks for, and then I gave the address, my listing I had coming up. But what it spit out was very generic. I mean, I guess it was well written, but it was just very generic, not a lot of panache. But whatever. You can tell if an agent knows how to market a property, and that's of the three things that I'm sharing with you. The first, marketed well, is the reason why you hire me, and it's the only portion of the three things that your agent is in control of when it comes to commanding the highest possible price in the shortest amount of time with the least number of problems. So the least number of problems is the job of the broker. But when it comes to procuring that buyer and getting offers in, of the three things I'm sharing with you, the only one that the agent is in control of is the marketing. The other two, you, the homeowner who's listing their house for sale, is in charge of. So the second thing is the house move-in ready? Is the house move-in ready? Now, so much of this is market driven. If you're in a really tight market, there's not a lot of homes available. The consumer is often willing to overlook a lot of things and still give top dollar for a house because they just need a house. There's nowhere for them to go. Not a lot of competition on the market. But as a general rule, if the house is going to command the highest possible price in the short amount of time, it needs to be move-in ready. And what do we mean by that? Most buyers, particularly in our market, are first-time buyers. So they're either FHA, VA buyers. They're coming to the market for the first time or the first time in a long time. And they are often cash poor, which another topic of conversation at some point down the road is, concessions and what sellers can do to incentivize buyers and, get offers in. But they want to finance in all the improvements to the house. They don't want to step into a situation and have to add an additional $20,000 or $30,000 in expenses to get the house updated, get it up to speed, to get everything functioning the way it's supposed to. And obviously, there are the underlying the non-cosmetic things, and then there's the cosmetic things. Both of them are important. The cosmetic things to the consumer probably, in terms of how it's marketed, that's what pops, that's what comes up. But remember, when we go under contract, we're going to have a home inspection, and then inspector is going to go through and turn on all the lights, flush all the toilets. I would like to have a home inspector on and do an interview on this and talk about it. But they're gonna deliver a report to that buyer of all the things in the house that need to be fixed or updated or repaired or replaced in some cases, which is why often it's a good idea to even have a pre-listing home inspection done on your house so that you get a copy of a report, you get a punch list. When Bobby and I sold our house over here in Spring Valley Lake on Fairway a number of years ago, the first thing I did was I called my home inspector. I said, I need a home inspection done on the house. And I got a report, and there was like, I don't know, a dozen or 15 items on there that they recommended be fixed. I called my contractor and I was like, here's the punch list. I want it all fixed, everything done. So that when a buyer comes in, that home inspection report is clean. It's always a good idea to do that. But again, to the consumer, they want to be able to just move right in. So it's not what I'm saying is not necessarily that it's, updated with all of the latest trends with flooring and paint and fixtures and countertops and finishes, although that does, for obvious reasons, command a higher price in the marketplace. The challenge with doing that level of updates, if you're doing that purely just to sell the house, it's very difficult to recapture what you put into the house in terms of your improvements. So you have to kind of take that into consideration. Your motivation when doing updates to your house should first and foremost be for your enjoyment of the property and then whatever benefit you get out of it in terms of a higher value is kind of icing on the cake. When you're getting a house ready to sell, it's pretty rare that I recommend to somebody that they do a complete and total upgrade to the house, because financially, in most cases, it doesn't make sense. The only way it makes sense is, if it's such a distressed situation that the only way to market the property is to an investor who would then come in and do all of those updates, then it makes sense if you have the liquidity to do all those updates. So what I mean by up, move in ready is all the components are in working order. The house is livable, that you don't have gaping holes in the wall. You don't have carpet that's deteriorating. It doesn't stink to high heaven. You don't have appliances that are busted and broken down, that it's been maintained and that it's ready for somebody to move in and occupy the property without a bunch of expenses out of pocket. And for one, when you're talking about FHA or VA buyers, there's going to be a certain standard guidelines that FHA and VA is going to require. So the house is going to need to be livable anyway. So this is why sometimes maybe it's a good idea to have that pre-listing home inspection done. You get a list, stuff that's pointed out, and you can get some other contractors out. And of course, I've got people at my disposal that will take my call and can help us on that. Okay, so the first is that it's marketed well. The second is that it's move-in ready. And then the third, this one's huge. It's got to be easy to show. Man, it's got to be easy to show. So when I have a seller tell me, look, we don't want showings, before 5 p.m. on weekdays, and we don't want showings on the weekends, after 12 o'clock, because that's when we do our family functions, and we are going to require at least a 24-hour, if not a 48-hour notice. And, they just put all of this stuff on, restricting those buyers and those agents on when they can come look at your house. This hurts your price. Now, again, some of this is market driven. In a tighter market, sometimes those buyers are willing to submit an offer subject to an interior inspection, just because they just need a house and they just put it in there, and then they're like, let us know when we can come see it. And listen, I've worked with buyers before, so let me back up just a minute. Let me share some more inside baseball. On the other side, you're getting ready to list your house for sale. On the other side of this, when the market goes up for sale, or when the house goes up for sale, it's marketed. Let's go back to the scenario when, Johnny and Susie Homebuyer, they're in line at Costco, and they're looking on their Realtor.com or Zillow app, and they see the house listed for sale. If they don't have an agent, they'll often click, it'll say request a tour or something, and click, and then it generates a lead for the agent on the other end. Or if they already have an agent, they'll call their agent and say, listen, Mr. Agent, I would like to schedule an appointment to show this house. Okay, so what happens then? Well, the agent will then consult the multiple listing service where the house is listed. And for me, I'm looking at three things. I want to see, is it still active, right? Is it still active? Secondly, I want to see what kind of sale it is. Is it a standard sale? Is it a probate sale? Is it a foreclosure sale? Is it a short sale? What kind of sale is it? That's an important piece of data. And then the third thing that I'm looking for is, how do I get in to show it? And I have to tell you, it is sometimes frustrating with these sellers and listing agents that make it hard to show your house. Well, I've been in situations before where I would come back and I couldn't get a scheduled showing. The listing agent made themselves scarce. I couldn't get a hold of them, or when the listing agent would answer, they would try to get a hold of their seller. The seller was like, not answering the phone, and this, that, and the other. And I come back to my buyer and I say, listen, I'm having trouble scheduling an appointment to show the house. And they say, well, we really want it. So I'll tell you what, let's do. This is a strategy. Let's submit an offer subject to an interior inspection. And then, this demonstrates that we're serious, we're qualified. And still, even after doing that, we've run into situations where we couldn't schedule an appointment to show the bloomin' house. I mean, and then my buyers are like, well, do they want to sell the house? Or I'm like, I guess not. They're just not motivated to sell their stupid house. bottom line, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the easier you make your house to sell, the easier it is, or to show rather, the easier it is to sell it. It's like if you're going to go fishing and you want the widest possible net out in the stream to catch the most number of fish in the stream. So when you're listing your house for sale, make it easy. Make it easy for that agent, because I get to tell you, one of my least favorite things about my job is putting together that tour and organizing showing instructions. And it's because it's a pain in the bloomin' neck to get the agents to respond, to get the sellers to confirm appointments. I've got my list of 7 or 8 homes. I'm going through my list. I'm contacting every agent saying, we'd like to come see your house. And I learned my lesson that you need to have a time frame before you even ask. And we want to be there Tuesday between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. Then the agent will come back and say, well, it doesn't work for my seller then. Can you do it after 4 o'clock? And then I got to reroute my whole tour or tell them I can't. It's dumb. All of this is dumb. Make it easy to show. Make it easy. The easiest way to to show a house, put a Supra lockbox on there. When you're not home, tell the agent, use the Supra. When you are home, let them in. Is it a hassle? Yeah, it is. It is. You have to put your family plans on hold. You have to reschedule parties. You have to keep your house tidy. You have to pick up the dog mess in your backyard and all this other stuff. It's a hassle. But once you go under contract, it's not nearly as much of a hassle. And in the meantime, you're letting all those buyers in. And the more buyers you have coming through your house, you improve your odds of not only getting an offer, but potentially multiple offers, right? Multiple offers. Then we can put out a call for the highest and best and drive the prices up and so on and so forth. So just to recap the 3 things that sell a house: price, price, and price. How do we command the highest price? 3 things. We're going to market it well. We're going to make sure it's move-in ready. And third, easy to show. I hope that all that information was helpful to you. Let's get to this week's housing market update. This is for October 30th, 2023. Let's take a look at the last 30 days sold. We've got 371 homes that sold in the last 30 days at a median sale price of $420,000. So down just a tick from a week ago. I think we were at 425 a week ago, 420 today. Year over year, same period last year. Now remember, to give historical context, it was 1 year ago when we saw those rates. It was the third, fourth quarter of last year when the rate started jumping up. So that really slowed things down. We sold 382 homes a year ago at $400,000. So we sold 2.9% fewer homes this year than we did last year. And the price of them was 5% higher. So we're selling fewer homes and they're more expensive. In escrow, 509 homes at $425,000. We have 874 active listings. So we've seen the listing number creep up just a bit over the last week. Look like about maybe, I think we had 779 or maybe it was 799. So we had 75 homes come to the market over the last week, which is, it's good activity. It helps relieve some of the pressure. $451,000 is the median list price. And I wasn't able to get an update on rates in time for the show. So this is as of a week ago. FHA loans going for around 8%. Okay, we're going to close out today's episode by giving you a check this out. Check this out. Now, thanks to my kids, mostly my son, I've become kind of a YouTube addict. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of golf on YouTube, a lot of golf instruction. As you know, I'm a golfing fiend, and so I like learning stuff about golf. And but there's a lot of stuff on there. There's some Christian YouTubers that I follow, and a lot of good information. I mean, a wealth of knowledge. But we've discovered this goofy channel. It's called The Deal Guy. Now, this guy, just before one, he's a quirky, weird little guy. But I'm telling you, man, cool information. And one of them you can see there, it says 10 new Costco deals that you need in the month of October. And I think the guy does it every month. And if you go right to that, to the Costco one, just as an example, he gives cool stuff and great deals that can save you some money on cool stuff. So go check it out. The Deal Guy on YouTube. Hope that helps you. Hey, listen, want to say a great big thank you to all of you who watch our show. We hope that this information adds value to you, that things that help you to win in real estate and in life. I've kind of broadened the horizons a little bit, and I'm taking a look at bringing in some guests from all around the country and a variant different backgrounds and things. So be looking for that in the coming weeks. In the meantime, we are serving your dreams. We do hope to see you again next week on the Brian Hirsch Show. God bless you. Have a great week.